The Federal Reserve is planning on monitoring social networking sites because they want to see what the public's response will be to economic policy. I think this is stupid because if you want to see what the people's responses to your economic policy, look at the streets in Wall Street, look at what's going on throughout the country, look at what's going on throughout the world, okay? People are livid. You don't need to check Twitter and Facebook to figure out whether or not people are happy with your economic policy.
And here are other ways that you can check. You could check the polls. They're usually pretty representative. You could just check to see that there is a movement on the left that says that they're against you bailing out all the banks, including foreign banks, including Muammar Gaddafi's bank in 2008. Or you can look at the movement on the right, which is against your bailouts of the banks, including the foreign government banks. You can look at this and find it in 800 different ways. Or you can look at audit the Fed provision that actually passed even this corrupt Congress overwhelmingly because the right wing and the left wing unified for the first time to do something right. Ron Paul, Alan Grayson led audit saying we don't trust you. We think you're putting our money in the wrong places. And it turns out they were right. When we did audit the Fed, we found out that they'd funneled tens of trillions of dollars to all their banker friends without, and they had never told us, okay? But no, instead they're gonna go and monitor the web to see what the public reaction is.
Okay.
Gee, I wonder why they're gonna monitor instead. Yes.
I don't want to pull an Alex Jones and get all conspiratorial, right? But I don't think this has anything to do with checking whether or not the public is upset with your economic policy. I think this has to do with figuring out who is the most outspoken against your economic policy. Okay, people are up in arms right now. They're protesting. You think the government likes that? The government doesn't like that.
And the Federal Reserve is literally run by the top banks. Literally, okay? You think the top banks are like, oh, let's figure out a way to serve the American people better. Let's monitor them to see how upset they are. My ass. Of course you're right. I mean, I don't know the specific proposal that they're going to do, why they're actually think that this is going to help them some way, but it's not to help you. Of course it's to help them. And so the last time they went to monitor in secret, they monitored people like Glenn Greenwald, who was writing things exposing what they were doing, and they had paid some law firms and some clandestine firms to go in and find out who was the most vocal, just like you suggested, against the banks, and then try to smear them.
Exactly.
Okay? So we're supposed to trust the Fed that they've got our best interest in mind as they monitor us. And by the way, if you want to know, just tune into the Young Turks, who will tell you, here, monitor us, okay? We don't like what you're doing. We don't like that you print money that is supposed to be taxpayer money, basically, and then you just hand it to your banker friends at nearly 0% interest, let alone the $1 trillion worth of toxic mortgages that you bought off of them because it was junk, and that's going to wind up in our lap. We don't like those policies because we think you represent the banks because you are the banks. And that's not what we think, it's a fact, okay? So now you know.